Hi, I'm Dana.
And I'm Matthew.
Welcome to the Nat 20 Book Club. We are back after a hot spell away. We've just been doing other things.
Yeah. Let's see.
Fine.
You picked volleyball back up. I've been getting into rock climbing. We both have jobs, which that takes a lot of time. Um,
We've been traveling a lot, sometimes together.
yeah,
You and your wife Jordan. Seen a lot of
we
concerts together this year.
a lot of concerts. Been to a different country,
hmm Very briefly.
very
It
briefly.
counts. It counts.
A rental car may or may not have been damaged, but we don't have to go into that this on this episode.
But yeah, I mean, we've both still been reading.
Yes.
Uh, I have not been reading as much as I typically do this year, though. I don't know about you. And then the books I have been reading have been absolute monsters. so
Yeah,
yeah.
I've been reading. I'm probably reading a little more, but it's because I've picked up a whole lot of light novels and a lot of manga this year, and it's kind of helped. I've filled the gaps with nice soft stuff that's fun and interesting, not necessarily the big heavy books. I'm like you have picked up a couple of big books this year, and which take a lot out of you. You don't want to keep reading after those big monsters.
Yeah.
At
Yeah.
least not with the same intensity and pace.
Yeah. And I will say for me anyways, the big books I've been picking up have been pretty heavy, literally and figuratively.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
um, I've read Pachinko this year.
Hmm.
I read Demon Copperhead. A lot of historical fiction on my end. So
Yeah.
maybe I need to take a page out of your book, put on Ching, and read some more manga and lighter stuff to balance
Yeah.
out the rest of my year. I don't know. We'll see.
We'll see. I mean, it's not going to happen. But
You know me so well.
right, I have picked up a manga. I just finished volume one of the one that you recommended me. What is it? The Witch Hat?
Cat Italier.
Witch Hat Atelier. Yeah.
Oh, it's so
Phenomenal.
good. So
Gave
good.
it 5 out of 5 stars on Goodreads. Um,
Yay.
I'm glad I had already preemptively picked up volumes 2 and 3 after I had already purchased volume one.
You put a lot of
Um,
faith in me. Wow.
and I was like, I picked up volume one when I think we were in California. And I was at Barnes& Noble the other day. I was like, you know what, let's pick up volume 2 and 3. Why not? Let's just go all in. I hadn't read it yet. And glad I have. Because it's waiting for me, for sure.
You're probably gonna pass me up then. I think I'm only on volume 6, so um,
Hmm.
I got to get with it so I can keep up with you. You're gonna pass me here.
Hey, see, I have a bad habit, or a good habit. We'll just say a habit. When I find something I like, I end up buying the entire series and reading all of it, and no chill. And then I'm like, well, what am I supposed to read next? I read 15 books in 4 weeks. Now what do I do?
Do it again.
Well,
But anyways, what brings us here today um, is this lovely book called Blood Over Brighthaven. I finished it over the weekend, 3, 4 days ago. I don't know what's today, Monday. So 2, 3 days ago. And I saw on Goodreads that you had read it recently as well. I
mm-hmm.
was like, ooh, we should talk about this because I really enjoyed it. So um, before we kind of get into what the book is about, I had heard about this book before from Instagram, YouTube,
Yep.
etc. It was all over. And I know this author, this is M.L. Wang. She also wrote The Sword of Kaigen, which is also
Yep.
very popular, which I haven't read yet though. So I've had this on hold at the library for 2, 3 months, and I finally
Mm-hmm.
got it, devoured it. Um, what'd you think, Matt? Had
Oh,
you
I
heard of
love.
it before?
I hadn't heard of it before. I definitely knew this author's known for standalone fantasy books, though. So we actually read this book as part of the book club that I am a part of here where I live, and a lot of people had read her previous books and other books by her, and yeah, there was a good recommendation. So we read it, and we had our discussion a couple weeks ago, and wow, it was phenomenal. Um, it's one of those books where I'm like, man, I wish, like, it was perfect because it was a standalone book. But man, I wish it was a series at the same time because I was like, I want to keep reading more, but it doesn't have to be more. The author laid it out perfectly. I mean, we'll get into that in more detail as we go on. But 5 out of 5 for me. I guess I spoiled our Nat 20 ratings, but we'll get there. You know what? It'll be fun. Who knows?
The Nat 20 grading system is a little bit more intricate than the Goodreads star
That's
systems.
you are not wrong. It's not exactly like, yes, it's a 16 is a 4-star. No, nothing like that.
Yes.
Don't read into it, folks. It's really whatever we make up at the time.
Yeah, it's all subjective. It's fine. But the book itself is about a woman named Siona. That's how I'm going to pronounce it. And she lives in this city called Tehran. She is a mage, and she is studying for this exam to become a high mage. And in this system, in this world that ML Wang built for us, this city is very obviously very patriarchal, not hiding the ball at all. It is in your face immediately. So this exam that she's taking for, women are only allowed to take it once every 10 years. And she has the honor to take it this year, and so she's got all this pressure on her, like, oh my god, if I fail, like, that's it for women for the next 10 years, so she's, like, freaking out. This all happens in, like, the first chapter, though, so not a huge spoiler. She passes the test and becomes a high mage.
Yeah.
And she is tasked with like researching how to expand the boundaries of the city of Tehran. And the reason that's important is because outside the city limits is basically, it's not quite a wasteland, but it's an area where it's affected by this thing called the Blight. And the Blight...
I would say the Blight, and also like frigidly cold weather. It's the idea of like if you went to Antarctica during Antarctica's winter, that is what it's like outside. And the same, including like with the amount of sunlight they get, where they have the eternal nights, they have eternal days in their summer where it gets slightly more manageable. But yes, they also have the Blight. They also, if you read, especially in the early chapters, the natives who are outside of the city are called the Quinn, and all their tribes talk about like different monsters and magical and mythical creatures that roam or used to roam those lands. So the barrier is meant to keep all of that at bay. Sorry, you can continue, Dana.
No, that's a good segue because the book actually kicks off following a Quinn, one of the natives that lives outside of the city limits, and him and his clan, or what's left of the clan, they're trying to get into the city to escape the conditions of being, out in basically Antarctica.
Yeah.
And the problem is the Blight is really, really strong that last like mile. So the odds are not in their favor. Let's say it like that. But him and his family, they run across, and he makes it, but he sees his entire tribe, except for his young niece, get struck by the Blight. And the Blight is so gruesome, it like literally uncoils a person and like strips off their skin, like all the way down to the bone and gristle.
Yep.
Like it's extremely gruesome.
It's just peel an onion, except it's a human body.
Yeah, it's like a very captivating way to start the book. And then the next chapter is Siona like getting ready for exam.
Yeah, very great tonal shift for sure.
Yeah. But anyways, after Siona passes her exam, she is, getting some misogyny thrown at her from some of her colleagues, and kind of as a joke, um, one of her colleagues assigns a Quinn to be her assistant. And the
Mm-hmm.
Quinn within the city limits are very much treated like slaves, like a subclass of um, people. Like they're not really even regarded as humans sometimes.
Yeah, it'd be like African Americans post the Civil War, where they weren't technically slaves, but they were still under Jim Crow laws. They still basically
Mhm.
had no rights, well, and things like that. Which goes into, I think, a good segue into the themes of this book. You already talked
Mhm.
about how it's very patriarchal, but you also have a lot of racial themes that are in this book. And we can talk about all these themes and not be any spoilers because the author makes absolutely no intentions to hide what it is. Some books you read and you get hints, oh, is this like a feminist movement book? Or, oh, is this about XYZ cause? It's all right there in the front.
Mhm.
Well, as you said, she's the first woman ever to get passed. Women are only able to do this once a decade. She talks about to her cousin and her aunt about how she can change lives for women to do this. And because it would be a major accomplishment, because women are thought of to be only take care of the home, to do the jobs that the people who don't have magic can't do, or those who can't
Mhm.
perform magic do, and to raise a family and to produce children. So they specifically produce more male children, so the magic can continue to grow. And then the Quinn, on the flip side, you have these massive quarters of where the Quinn live, and oftentimes they are treated as less than human beings or not thought of as humans. You hear some of the research talk about, oh yeah, we use Quinns for experiments because they're not people, um,
Mhm.
and this goes through.
Yeah, they are the Quinn lives in slums. They have the menial jobs. They're chimney sweepers. They're janitors. They're factory workers. They are treated as expendable. Um, and you really, you're right. The author does not hide the ball. She has a point to make, and she makes it.
Hmm.
Um, and that's one of the things I really loved about the book, though, was the conversations between Siona. I already forgot how I said I was going to say it. Oh, well.
Our main character,
Our
female.
main character, and her assistant,
Yeah.
how they interact, the conversations they have, because her assistant is the same person that we started out the book with,
Hmm.
the one who survived that crossing that we followed in the very like
At the very beginning.
prologue, chapter one, whatever it was. Um, and their interactions, like sometimes I'd just be sitting there with my mouth just hanging open. I was like, oh my God. Because the thing about Siona is she is so egotistical. It is
Yep.
crazy. Like you really want to root for her. Like, yes, go be
Do
the
you?
first woman. I did at the very beginning. I was like, go show up those men, go be a
Yeah.
badass, like, and then she keeps talking, and you're like, dear God, shut up.
Yeah. So well, let's dissect our main character for a hot second.
Yeah.
So yes, you want to root for her because yes, you want this idea of you want the women to break through the glass ceiling, so to speak. You want her to do well and be successful. But the author wrote a main character who, quite frankly, is not likable. You don't actually want to root for her as an individual. Yes, maybe you want to root for her cause because best pointed out by her family. Look what this is going to do for all women. Her family turns to her. Since when do you care about anyone, let alone all women? Because the whole point of that
Yeah.
she's so egotistical, she's so self-centered, because she needs to be the one. She needs to be the one to go down in history.
Mhm.
There's a lot of lore about the founders, about who created magic and or provided this magic, created the barrier, the prophecies 10 years before the blight, and all the stuff that goes on. And she's like, my name is going to go down next to them because I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do something that is going to be that no one else can do, man, woman, or otherwise.
Mhm.
And you do see through the tone shift and tone shifts of the story when she starts having the Quinn. you realize that it is not necessarily about females, because the conversation she has with her Quinn assistant, it goes off to, well, you're a Quinn, so we'll see what you can do. To be like, well, you're the only Quinn who can do this. So you're not like the other Quinn. And he turns to her, and Tamil says, no, ma'am, I'm just like every other Quinn. I'm just been the only Quinn who's been given a shot to ever actually prove their worth. Mm-hmm. And I only got a shot because you were too prideful to back down from a joke that your colleagues set you up for. Yep. And those are the conversations that you're referring to. That just because they hold nothing back. No. In a lot of ways, it makes it feel like a lot more real than just, oh, these are perfect people, or oh, they have a tragic backstory and everything lines up. There's a lot of things that don't line up. They disagree hard. But it makes it believable that they can put past those differences, her and Tamil, to actually like succeed in a goal, which I thought was really refreshing. Yeah. It's not like, well, of course, with every book there's plot armor. It didn't feel like there was a lot of plot armor protecting our main character throughout.
No, certainly not.
This is, if you want to be protected against spoilers, you probably want to turn off, because we'll probably start getting to very deep spoilers here in a moment.
Oh yeah. There was like a big plot point about halfway through the book that completely shifts really what... Mm-hmm. Like, there's so much build up in the first half. It's slow, but like you can feel the bricks being laid. Mm-hmm. And then you hit that point, and then the author just like throws a grenade at that wall you built. It's so good. It's so good.
Did you guess the twist? Did you?
No, I didn't guess that twist. I guessed what she was going to do at the end.
Yeah.
I saw that coming after she found out. But before we get to that...
Yeah, let's talk about the first twist. So, in this magic system, they use what basically, if you're familiar with coding and programming, like using Java, using Python, using SQL, you're going to find familiar in this magic system where they have an action code or an action sequence where they say what it's going to do. And then they have like a subsequence is where they end up drawing the power for. And the power they draw for is basically from a giant grid. So if you ever played Battleship, you'll understand, like A1. They have a grid system of their world. And in this world that has been mapped out of known zones that usually have a lot of energy, and then known dead zones. And there's also a few zones where you're not supposed to do. There is a large circle right in the center of the map, which is as a forbidden zone. And these forbidden come from the founders said that you should not ever draw power from these zones. This was not given to you by God. And that leads us to the next kind of conversation of another major theme, is that like this religion zealous. This entire town and city, even though you feel is very like industrial, revolutionized, and very modern, it still has a lot of those religious undertones and like this, like, well, God said we can't do this, so we shouldn't. And then there's like a 2-mile barrier around that zone where they have these reserves that are always running, that are always pulling power for the city for its vital functions, to run the trains, to keep the lights on, to run electricity and water. And then everything else is up to the archmages or just the mages to go and map out and to create their spells to draw power to activate their actions. To, maybe it's to fire a gun, maybe it's to levitate a typewriter. And then that typewriter bit is that they basically use what feels like an old school typewriter to type their magic spells, and then when they finally activate the sequence, it goes and turns on. So the big twist is...
Yeah, you kind of hinted at it a little bit in that.
The big twist is that, the big circle is about the same size as the city. It's the barrier. And she does not realize this. It's Tamil, who came from outside the barrier, who by trade was a hunter before he came to the city. He had to know the world like the back of his hand to be able to track, to be able to know, to get back to where his family was. So he had started to hint. And then she was able to break this code to be able to actually create what looked like a mirror or a doorway into the other world, which is where they called where they get the magic from. And it ended up being just what's outside the barrier, because Tom Mill recognized it. And when she activated her siphoning spell, which to draw that energy in, Tom Mill rightfully freaked out and threw the spellograph across the room, because the siphoning spell is indeed the blight. And that 2-mile dead zone, or that spherical zone, is the city, so you don't want to be siphoning from your own people. And that 2-mile dead zone, it's the 2 miles outside the city. So you go back to the beginning of the book, where Tom Mill and his 40 clansmen ran to the city, and the last 2 miles, they were all blighted, except for the 2 of them. That basically the city is using people fleeing the blight, which is we now know is caused by the city, to fuel their city. And if you happen to get through, and you are able, they will let you live in the slums. And if you cannot work, they will throw you back through the barrier for the blight to finish you off.
Yeah, it's crazy, that moment too, when they both realized what they found out. Like, their reactions are so... Well, Tom Mills is, like, absolutely
trauma.
Makes sense. Yeah, he immediately has a panic attack, leaves the room, etc. Siona, though, it goes back to the religion aspect, I think, because she immediately, like, does not accept the truth that's right in front of her face, because it contradicts what she's been told by her religion, by the society that she's been living in her entire life. It goes against everything that she grew up with. And it's just straight denial.
Yeah.
She's looking for an explanation other than what the actual facts that she discovered herself.
Yeah.
She's looking for anything else.
And what's crazy...
Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, what's crazy is that she's in such denial that she has to go redo it. Like, the first time they blighted a bush, so they watch a bush unwind. And then her and Tom Mill have a big falling out, and he storms out and leaves. She goes back to her lab, finds a high density zone outside, before it was like looking at like a grayscale map where you could have where the white was like heat. Like, if you ever looked at like infrared goggles or night vision goggles, where it was basically grayscale with white spots showing like heat of animals or creatures. That's all. It was no detail. She now has created a window where you can actually see the physical people, or the physical animal, or the physical plant. So she finds a girl on a beach and siphons, and then watches this girl slowly start to unwind, to unravel, to peel back layer by layer in front of her eyes. And that's when she finally breaks.
Yeah, she has a full-on mental breakdown. She is like bedridden for a couple days, tries to kill herself. Her cousin stops her. Like, she is absolutely shattered by this realization, because no one else that she knows this information. So she thinks. But from there, it's just like her trying to figure out what to do with this information. Yeah. She's still obsessed with making her mark on the world. And so she's like, how do I fix this? And she eventually goes and links up again with Tamil and his niece, who is now a teenager. And they have some more like really good discussions. Because Siona still is like falling back on some of those religious beliefs and the inherent like classism and racism that she's grown up with. And I think that makes sense, honestly. Like, for this author writing that character, it makes sense, because those aren't things that are going to go away overnight, right? So it made sense, and I really appreciated that the author really took the time to go through that process with Siona, and so we could see her coming to terms with her new reality and
Yep.
certain things like beliefs she had that just had to change. So I thought that was awesome. But she comes up with this idea, and Tamil and his niece are both like, "This is a horrible idea," and she's like, "I'm gonna do it anyway."
Well, that's the second idea. Remember, her first plan was, I'm just gonna go talk to her mentor who guided her through the mage, or through the exam, or so her archmage mentor, who is known as a champion of women. He has created a bunch of factories where he hires women, especially Quinn women, to work in his factories. And this was going to be, and he told her, like, I didn't do this, you did this. You've made yourself one of the 100 high mages. And she goes, confronts him, and at first he denies everything. He says, you're just hallucinating. It's like God, you saw something that God didn't intend you to see. You just can't comprehend it. And then after a few days of being bedridden, she's like, no, I know what I saw. This is real. And then he tried to gaslight her and be like, well, you're just so smart. What usually takes researchers and high mages 5, 10, 15 years to discover, you found out in 3 months. Like, it's been 3 months by this point that the exam has passed. And he's like, you just need to take another day off, like, just process it. Your presentation on how you're going to expand the barrier is like next week. Just relax. We'll have to get you a new assistant because we can't have a Quinn out there knowing what's going on. We'll completely discredit him. Don't worry about it. But just play ball, we'll be good. And then she goes back to Tamil, and Tamil's like, well, what did you expect? Of course they all knew. You may think you're the hottest stuff since sliced bread, but like, these are the smartest people in the world, good, bad, evil, or whatever. They're still the smartest people. Of course you weren't the only one who decided to bend the rules a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah.
It's crazy. Because, like, I was right there with her, though. Like, I was like, for sure Brigham didn't know. I was so hopeful that he didn't know and that he could be a good guy. And then for him to have known, to say that they all know, everyone in power knows.
Not just the high mages and the archmages, government leaders, people who have worked a long time.
Yeah, they know that they are systemically murdering an entire civilization, pretty much, like all of the Quinn and all the wildlife out there, which is leading them to starve the Quinn as well, making it an environment that you cannot live in because there's no food. And they're knowingly doing this, and they're using religion and their rewrite of history to justify their actions. Because what's also cool about this book is you get snippets of like historical texts, religious texts at the beginning of each chapter, and it kind of shows. And then also you see through like Siona and Tamil's conversations and research that the magic that the city uses was stolen from the Quinn originally.
Yep.
So it's just it like screams manifest destiny, the colonization of the Americas, like colonization of Africa, like just it's I loved it. Anyways, what were we talking about? Oh yeah.
So her
they
plot.
knew. Everyone knew. Everyone knew.
You're now the meme with like it's all connected.
I'm Charlie Day over here. But yeah, so like everyone knew, and then they used religion and their rewrite of history to justify their actions, which is just really, I think, prevalent to our society today, and what has happened in many.
You brought up a good point that like the blight didn't just attack people, it attacked like lilac plants and all that. And her first instinct, this is also, the author did a great job showing her naivety, because has been sheltered. She's been raised in a very good home, even though her mother had passed away and then her father abandoned her to her aunt and cousin. she had been raised, and they gave her everything that she ever needed. Right? They gave her the avenue to follow her eccentric dream to become the first woman high mage, and she was like, "Well, now that we can use my mirror to be able to see what we're siphoning, we know to not attack humans. We can just attack the plants. We can just siphon from." And then Tamil brings up a good point. He's like, there was only 40 of us left when we decided to make the border crossing. Only about 25% of them were killed from the blight of his people. The remaining 75 that died before they made the border crossing was from starvation. Was from not being able to hunt anymore because all the animals were gone. They talked about like how there used to be, wolves the size of buildings that used to roam the plains. And that they're gone because they've all been blighted. And he's trying to tell her, like, you can't just say, oh, we know what to attack and what not to attack now, because, yeah, you may not be directly murdering people anymore, but you're still removing their ability to live. And she was very naive and was like, well, that can't be right. We can work out the details later. Which leads to her second great plan. Would you like to explain, or do you want me to explain it, Dan?
I mean, so what she does is she goes to present her findings to the magistrate, like the mage court.
Yeah, all 100
men.
Mm-hmm.
They're all men.
Yeah,
and try
99. There's one woman. Her.
Oh yeah, 99 men. And she tries to pitch her idea. Like, she shows them, like, look, we can use my mirror method so we can see what we're siphoning, and then we can make better, more moral choices. And they're like, no, we're not going to do that. We're going to keep killing people. But they liked her mirror method. And so she was like, fine. I'm going to unleash chaos, pretty much. And she had, before this presentation,
her backup plan.
Her plan B, which should have been like plan Z. She had created a spell that would basically show the entire city, or a large portion of the city.
So whenever anyone used magic, or used something that channeled magic, so like if you turn on your faucet, or you turn on an elevator, or you use the train, a window would appear and will show you exactly what is being siphoned to give you that power. So basically, she showed everyone that they were mass murderers.
Yeah. She showed the entire city, the blight, pretty much. And for 30 minutes, it wasn't like indefinite, right?
Oh
she
boy.
put a timer on it. But as you can imagine, chaos erupts across the city. And
so when you have like 25, maybe 45% of your population being immigrants and who have all gone through traumatic death and experiences, maybe. Because of the blight, and you just out of the blight's existence is because of the people who are currently oppressing them, what could possibly go wrong?
Yeah, it was not a well thought out plan. And Tamil told her like this was a bad plan, and she did it anyways. And she gets to see, the chaos that unfolds within like the next 48 hours. She is arrested, but like martial law is imposed, and it is just chaos in the street. Quinn are dying left and right, and yeah, it's just a mess. But as her last act, gotta get into her.
Well, before we get there, there is a heartbreaking scene, which I think is also very, very realistic, is when she's in prison. Because this is when everyone is, like, they're riots on the street. At this point, the martial law is now just murder anyone who is out on the street, period. That is Quinn. Her cousin comes to see her in prison.
The one that she's
And
been living with
the one
since
she's
she
living
was a
with since
kid.
she was 6, or what she was, yeah, she was like 6 years old. Her father, who was by the way, a high-ranking government official, abandoned her when her mother died because she was a girl and not a boy. So they took her in, raised her, gave her this good life, removed every obstacle that they could, being quote unquote simple women who, just followed what God, their religion, had laid out for them, allowed her to become this high mage. Only her cousin came to visit her, and her cousin asked her, "How could you do this to us?" And she's like, "Well, can't you? What do you mean? How could I do this? Like, we've been murdering people by convenience. We shouldn't do this." And her cousin's like, "Yeah, but our home's gone. They burned down the building. We
Yeah.
gave you a good life.
I
How
lost
could
my
you
job
do this?"
because of you. Yeah.
It was like, and her cousin has always been the supportive one, always been sweet. We have never once to this point seen her mad or angry. Helped her walk through her crazy depression after she had originally found out, and she's like, we are basically said, we're not family. You are on your own. Don't ever expect anything. Her aunt, who supported her, fed her, all the stuff, was like, wouldn't come because basically she's now dead to them. And when, again, going back to the selfishness of the main character, she said, "I did this for people to understand, for the Quinn, for everyone." And again, her cousin was like, "Since when have you cared about anyone? If you cared about anyone, why did you think about what would happen to us first? We had a nice, convenient life. It was a quiet life. We could live in peace. Why do you care about those filthy animals? Why do you care about what happens outside the barrier? You just ruined our lives." And then left after a good slap to the face. And it shows the humanity in some way, shape, or form that some people like the convenience. Because she had thought that when people realized what was happening, everyone would immediately stop using magic and everyone would come together and figure out a new plan. And all it did was the people who had the convenience, it's like out of sight, out of mind. They don't care. They now see where it's coming from, and now they're looking at just what they've lost, now what they have to gain or what they can do to better themselves. And it was a real eye opener for our main character that she.
Yeah. I mean, it's a type of problem that cannot be solved by one person,
No.
and that's the biggest fallacy of her personality, is thinking that she can do everything by herself.
Yeah.
So yeah.
But she had a backup plan.
Oh my god.
So if she in the event that she was put in prison, she had a backup plan where when she would be tried and executed for murder, or executed for treason, I should say, they never actually specified what her charges were. Because it really doesn't matter, and that's very realistic. At that point, it didn't matter. They would charge her whatever she wants, whatever the council wants. They put her back once again before the 100 high mages. 2 were notably absent, and they're also the majority of the ruling government were all there for her trial, and she was put to death after a very, very quick deliberation. The last time and the only time in history where this has happened. It took 2 days, and that was someone who was known to be siphoning within the safe zone of the city. They get rid of his competition, so to speak, and they took 2 days to determine to execute someone who was literally murdering them. Yeah. They took 20 minutes to decide that they were going to execute her for revealing the secret to the world. Her backup plan. As she takes the drug that's supposed to put her to sleep, and she's supposed to read basically their version of the Bible, a light appeared. Dana, would you like to explain what happened from this light?
So, well, I think we need to back up a little bit.
Sure.
So, before Siona, executed the spell that showed everybody what was happening when they used magic, she gave Hamil a spell, as it was her failsafe, right? She said, "You should use this because it'll be like your justice against the people of Tehran for what they have done to you over the last 300 years. And so when she is arrested, Tamil and his sister are hiding. Not his sister, his niece. They're hiding. He has his spell, and he's like, now's the time, I guess. He had like had this deliberation about whether or not he was actually going to do it or not, but he does it. He casts a spell, and what it does, it siphons everyone in the magic center.
So the campus where the trial was being held, all 12 archmages, all 100 minus 2 high mages, all the reporters, all the leaders of government, and it's described as the entire, including her, our main character. It is described that it encompasses the entire campus, so you can also assume every mage in training, everyone of all robes types that would be on campus that day. Basically, everyone, or I should say, the majority of people who know anything about magic and how it all works, get siphoned. Which, fun fact, the spell has one author benefit. She accomplished her goal. She expanded the barrier. Because by siphoning that much magical power from people who know magic and knowledge, was able to go straight into the barrier and then expand it. And so, not only does she kill everybody, literally everybody including herself and everyone in power, she also accomplished her goal of expanding the barrier by several hundred miles. Well, not several hundred, excuse me, by several miles.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just a really gruesome scene too, because of course it's described in detail. Yeah, wow. What a moment.
Yeah, so that's the book. You should read it.
It ends. You should read it. It was really good. It ends with Tamil and his niece and a bunch of other Quinn refugees escaping from the city into the new area that is still within like the protection of the city, like since it's been expanded, but it's further out, and then they go a little bit further into the mountains where they can be.
They do leave the barrier. They do end up leaving the barrier because they described it as like a chase scene where all these refugees who are now leaving the city that they went to for safe haven. They were basically chasing the barrier, and then the authorities were chasing them. And so basically, they had chose that the harsh forever winter is now more suitable than being in that city with the protection and the safety and the warmth of the barrier. And one thing I actually thought interesting was, if this book was like a multi-part series, I felt like I could see where book 1 would have ended and book 2 would have started. But because this is also a single book encapsulated the whole story, it went much farther than I thought. I felt like of a normal book, it would end with her death. Maybe like a quick 2-page, they live not so happily ever after. But it gave so much more about what happened to Tamil and his niece and their escape. We find out that we had mentioned that 2 of the high mages were not there. So that one of them was a former colleague of hers.
He's the worst.
Complete worth. We won't go into all of it. But he basically, I'm now the Archmage Supreme because I'm the highest ranking, highest tenured mage there is, because literally everyone died. And he immediately dies when the niece takes the spellograph and graphically bashes his head in so it's now concave, and then steps on it to make sure that there is no twitching. And then the high mage that only got the position due to nepotism, she threatens to do the same thing to him if he doesn't make the world a better place, because she appoints him Archmage Supreme and moves on. So basically a Nepo baby who is willing to follow the direction of anyone who is willing to talk down on him, and he'll just fall in line order, is now in charge of all of government and all the power. What could possibly go wrong?
right? Um, I thought that was an interesting choice by the
Mm-hmm.
author. I like that she was trying to keep a sense of hope alive for the city as
Yeah.
far as like them finding a moral compass. Um, but yeah, I'm not sure that he was the best.
Right, because they described that he was just a wet pan of water. Anyone who, like, could bully him around and basically have him fall in line, I think, like, it would work great until someone, because there's now a power vacuum.
Hmm.
I mean, if he holds his own, great, but I don't think that he will. But it's also the idea of, like, they can't take control. They're still Quinn, or you need to have someone with the robes and the authority and theoretically the training, whether it was earned or not,
Mm,
to have to fill in that gap, at least as a figurehead, until a short time. But yeah, the author leaves it very open at the end,
yeah.
which is fun.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, like, I think the author got her points across. The themes that she was exploring,
Hmm.
like she wrapped those up. She made her points. And so
Yes,
I was satisfied with the way this ended.
correct. You don't need a second book at all.
No.
Like it was very good. It was very self-contained. You like I said, like we said at the beginning, she's not hiding what she's talking about. We're talking about the patriarchal societies and women being oppressed. We're talking about racism, immigration, talking about religious zealousy, all of it wrapped up. In some way, shape, or form, you would think, well, that's almost too much, but she handles it really well because, like,
They
while
all
she
lead
touches it all,
together.
she never dives too far deep into any one thing. So it's not like you got a lot of one, and it's really nicely woven together. I agree.
Yep. And I think it works so well too because the world she built was so fleshed out. Um, and it worked because the world, while it was fleshed out, is very contained. We're just in one city. You don't spend a
Hmm.
lot of time outside of this campus. They're on this school campus, and even like the
Hmm.
room that Siona and
Yeah.
Tana are working in. So like you have this fleshed out world, but also it's very contained. And so I think that really helped her with her themes as well.
Yeah.
Um,
400 pages, built a whole world, built a magic system, talked about a whole bunch of themes. And at the end of the day, like, she's the main character, she's never supposed to be a likable main character. And it's done well. It's done well. And also, I agree, I like that she had growth, but it didn't become all of a sudden being, oh, I didn't realize I'm racist, I won't ever be racist anymore. She still had those tendencies, even in those final conversations with
yeah,
Tom Mills. He's like, well, you understand. He's like, anyone could understand if you ever give them a chance to be taught. And she acknowledges that may be true, but it's not like instant rollover, like, and change her entire core moral belief. But you do see the progress and the baby steps of that change. If she wouldn't have died at the end, that
yeah,
maybe there would have been hope for her.
yeah, yeah. She's not used as like a white savior type of character.
Mm-mm.
Um,
She's
no.
she's no Tom Cruise Last Samurai, the white man coming in to hone in Japanese honor. No, she's not an scapegoat either. Of like, oh, I'm gonna play the martyr and die, and then everything's gonna be happily ever after. She was a person who thought that she could solve it all, and while she has exposed a lot, and they will be talking about her name in history, some way, shape, or form. Um, who knows if it's good? Who knows if it's bad? Who knows if it will ultimately make a difference? And there's no hero complex there. It's an ego complex from beginning to the end.
Oh yeah, she's something else, man. Well, what a great book.
Yeah,
Um,
it's only been like 50 minutes, so
I know. There's a lot going on in this book, but
yeah.
yeah, let's just go right into our ratings. Matt, on a scale of 1 to 20, how would you rate this book?
Oh, I'd give it a 19 for sure. 19. I would say what probably would have made it a perfect crit 20 would be there was a couple of little things that I wish that we could have seen. We didn't dig too deep into like the lore of the magic system, but it described that the Quinn used to be able to do magic without a spellograph, without a machine. Mm-hmm. I would have loved if we could have seen how that worked in some way, shape, or form. Again, you don't want her to be some like white savior, quote unquote, to they'll be like, she's mastered the native ancient tribe's language in 3 days. But it would have been cool to see how that would have worked, because you never got to see outside the spellograph. All the major storylines were closed, so that was not very satisfying. But there's a couple of like, talking about selfish and ego, selfish things that I wish that they would have filled out just a touch.
Yeah.
But I'm sure everyone does.
Yeah. Well, good. I'm glad you liked it. This is a nat 20 for me.
Yay!
Yeah, this is a nat 20 for me. I am okay with that loose end, because I think I mean, like, the cool thing about this magic system is it's very much reminiscent of just science generally. Like, you keep looking for answers, you keep researching. It's not just magic is done, we know everything about it. It's not like that. So I was okay with there being still some things within the world of magic here that they didn't know. I thought that like fit very well into the book. So I was fine with that.
It fit well. It doesn't mean I didn't want to know the answers.
Oh, that's fine, sure. But it didn't bother me.
Yeah.
I loved Tamil and Fiona's discourse. I have no notes. Like, this was almost a perfect book for me. I just almost wish there was more of it, honestly.
Right, like...
I loved this. This is in the running for best book of the year for me.
Yeah, it was nice to have a male and female leads that wasn't romantasy or romance. You get just the hint of something that might have happened or could have happened if, maybe people didn't all end up in mass murder, in a mass murder trial. But, like, it's there, but it's also realistic. They've only known each other for like 3 months, We don't have to get out of it. We can go another 20 minutes talking about that part.
It's not a romantasy. Don't read this for the romance.
Right. It's
like a subplot.
Yeah. It's like, I like that you could have that, and because sometimes you read fantasy books with the male and female lead, and then the romance becomes the driving story. And that's not this. Not at all. I enjoyed that. Yeah. It was a great book. At 19, I almost gave it a 20. There is a couple things. We talked about, how she had the plan A and the plan B, and the plan B was like all the show everyone. What happened to plan A worked, and they went, oh yes, we didn't realize this. We'll stop killing people immediately. She had no way to stop her plan B from occurring. Sorry, we can talk about this for another hour.
Well, I think she did it because she knew deep down that they wouldn't accept her plan. Especially after she talked to Brigham, her mentor, and he completely disregarded every concern she brought to him, was fully culpable. She was like, yeah, there's no hope. Everyone sucks.
Yeah. Another thing we didn't talk about, which we won't go into, her mentor, being the savior of women, may or may not have created chemicals that made the Quinn infertile in his factories to help curb population. So let's just make them not be able to have babies. That's another fun plot you can go into when you read the book.
There's just so much in this book. It is a masterpiece.
Yes.
I'm obsessed with it.
10 out of 10 should read it. It should end up on like an AP lit high school reading list of talking about how to write stories. Talk about as a fiction alternative, because a lot of schools read nonfiction for a lot of their themes. I think this is a good fiction alternative to like AP lit class stuff that you could read to hit a lot of themes, get you thinking really critically. And also, if you want to read the other M.L. Wang book, I believe you mentioned at the beginning, Dana, what I'm told, it's nothing like this at all.
I have heard it's kind of like the only similarity I've heard of between the two is that it's like a slow build and then a huge payoff at the end, just like the
Sure.
Icarus. That's the only
Yes.
similarity. So
Yeah. So Dana, are you going to be picking up what is it? Accomplice to the Villain?
accomplice to the villain? No.
Sorry. Throw it back to a previous video. Well, that's all, folks. I think we're going to end on that note. Yes, the Blood over Brighthaven. 10 out of 10 should read. Nat 20 and a natural 19. So some critical successes here. So thank you all for watching. Maybe we will hopefully have a video in a slightly less amount of time than this past time. Who knows?
In the meantime, keep reading. And
Let us know in the comments what your favorite part of the book was.
Yeah.
Or if you absolutely hated this book and thought it should be burned, tell us why. Because we
the owner
clearly...
sucks. That's why. I bet that's why most people don't like it.
That's fair. Because Dana and I completely drank all the Kool-Aid on this. So...
Yep. All right. Well, thank you so much for watching, and we'll catch you next time. Have a Nat 20 day. Bye.
Bye!